All right, so today I'm going to be talking about one of the biggest concepts for improving your relationships, and that's role playing. Role playing is something that occurs in everyone's life, and this is one of the reasons why some women, and men in general also, but women also, can't keep people in their lives. Why they keep having bad relationships. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how women and men, people in general, play roles, and how the roles that you play affect the way you perceive people. And this is very important because this is the source of a lot of people's negative relationships. And it's something that's very powerful because it permeates throughout your whole life, where your past continues to you continue to live the past through the present moment, and you can't really move on. So let's get started. So any conceptual sense of self is the ego. This can range from having a good sense of self to a negative sense of self. You see, so again, we all want to identify ego for the bad stuff, but the ego is also anything that you overly take pride in, anything that you attach your sense of self to. For example, I'm a basketball player. If you're a basketball player and then you retire, what happens? Now you're not a basketball player. Now you want to find yourself. You see, so a conceptual sense of self is whenever you take something in your thoughts, any form of a thought, and you hold on to and you identify with it. So you react to anything that is attached to that sense of self. You see, so behind shyness is fear of criticism and judgment, which will diminish your sense of self. You see, so we all have this conceptual sense of self and we try to hold on to it. So whenever people are shy, that means that in their minds, if they get attention, that means that they're going to be judged. People who are also confident have the same ego. If you think they're confident, but in reality, behind the confident ego is a fear of inferiority. So they try to put themselves higher than everyone else in order to confirm to themselves who they are. And again, I'm trying to do this in a very systematic way because I'll get ahead of myself. So I'm going to be looking down a few times because I don't want to get ahead of myself. So whenever you feel inferior or superior to somebody else, that's the ego. The feeling of he's better than me, or the feeling of he's shit, or the feeling of what should I say? I don't want to disrespect them, or I want to impress them. That desire for the validation is the ego. Okay, so whenever you feel inferior or superior to somebody else, that's the ego. This changes how we interact with people. You see, so you're not really yourself in every scenario because you have a different personality depending on how superior or inferior some people are. For example, when you're walking down the street and you see a homeless person asking you for money, you're gonna ignore him. That's a normal reaction. You see, so. All right, so when you perceive someone as superior, that's the ego in you awakening, and it awakens their ego as well. So you act superior, he's a bum, and what happens? What does the homeless guy feel like? Fucking asshole, you see, all rich people are like that. They all ignore me. You see, like, your ego, I'm better than you, awakens their ego. Rich people suck. So you guys are not really interacting with each other. You guys are just interacting with your minds, your little fucked up world mind. You see, and that's why they can't understand each other because they're seeing two completely different realities. Let's slow down. We're going to get to the good part, okay? So as a result, that's why people are very reactive. Like, they react, you see. They react to them. And the egos are the ones that react, okay? And that's why like, form reacts to form. Like, they both are reacting, okay? So when the ego doesn't get the response that it seeks, when the ego doesn't get a response that it seeks, it looks for it in negative attention. Okay, like when a girl, like for example, I always tell this to guys, when a girl rejects them, right? A guy approaches a girl and he's trying to get her number, right? She rejects him. What happens? Oh, she rejected me. Fuck you, bitch. You were ugly anyways. You see, so he didn't get the attention through positive. Now he's gonna validate his ego through what? Negative attention, trying to hurt her so she can focus on him. You see, So this feeling is accumulated from the past emotional pain that encompasses your ego. So let's say a guy hurt you, right? A guy broke up with you, and he says, it's not you, it's me, and all that sort of stuff. And what happens? You feel pain, so you react. Fuck you, you asshole, and all that sort of stuff, right? Now, because you're reacting to that means you're reliving your past. Those emotions were once there, and it's being confirmed in the present moment. And as a result, you're confirming a belief system that all men suck. So what's going on here? You're bringing the past into the present, and not because you're not letting go of it through identifying with it and not observing it. You're holding on to it, and so it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger as your life goes on. And as you get older, you're going to be more burdened with that scar and pain. And rather than trying to disidentify, you're going to be looking for more confirmation, because the more belief you have in that system, in that mode of thinking, the more you're going to be looking for those things, in things that are not even there. All right. So a common role that people play is of the victim. They seek validation to feed it. You see, they will go the lengths to distort reality. This is an ego as long as it stays unconscious, though. That's the key. You see, like it's an ego. It'll control you. It'll control your relationship as long as it remains unconscious, which is to say, as long as you don't observe it and you keep externalizing it through blaming others rather than going into yourself and saying, you know what, fuck others, let's see what's going on inside of me and what's causing this. It's going to remain unconscious and it's going to keep living through you. And it wants you not to notice it, because as soon as you notice it, what happens? It breaks down. See, that's why that's why people say, I'm trying not to think of my problems. That the problem is living through you, because now you're trying to avoid it, and as a result, it'll live through you. You feel out of control. You see, so this is done through a personal story, like the staying unconscious is maintained through a personal story. So in order to stay alive, you're gonna need problems. Your identity, like being the victim, you cannot be the victim if you don't have problems, right? You know, so for example, like what is like somebody rejected you, right? You feel the emotion of rejection. So what happens? That emotion creates a story. I got rejected. I suck. This is why he left me. My parents. And the thing is, some of those stories are very quiet, and the quieter ones are the dangerous ones, because they're more unconscious. But this happened when I was a little kid and you just don't notice it. But then you remember this happened when I was older, like superficial thing that links to unconscious things. You see, and rather than noticing the source, you notice a story. And remember, this story could be anything. It could be anything. You see, it could be, but it won't be good because it's part of an emotion that's negative. So what happens now is that this story is also accompanied with an emotion of certainty. I believe this is why I'm the victim. And now you're going to it's going to have like a momentum. You're going to keep thinking of more of those stories, okay? So that story needs the problem, and it is going to create the problems. For example, I'm walking down the street and I look at you. You say, what are you looking at me like that? I'm like, whoa, shit, I wasn't looking at you. I'm not trying to hurt you. What the fuck is your problem? You see? That's the story. They're looking at me through the lenses of everyone's against me. So now I give like a random look and you think I'm hurting you. It's because there's a story that's been created. But if you would have just observed the story, oh, he's looking at me, what an asshole. Then he just observes, oh, it's just a thought. Now you don't react. You see, now you're not feeding the ego, but let's keep talking. Okay, so this story, the more it replays itself in your mind, the more familiar it comes, and the more you're going to identify with it, you see? And it's going to keep finding ways to externalize it. So you're either going to find a victim, you're either going to be the victim, or formulate becoming the victim. So distorting a story just to be the victim, you see. So when you see it, for example, so this is how it's done. This is how people play the story of the victim. When you see a man and you see him as your source of, finally, I'll be happy because I found a man. You see him as a provider, like, oh, I'm so sad. I need a relationship to be happy. So you're really in it, playing the role of what? The needy one. You see. And so what's going to happen is that you're going to see them as your source of happiness, and if they make you sad, and if you're sad, it doesn't matter who made you sad. The role that you're playing is that your responsibility is to make me happy. So what's going to happen? You're going to blame him, somehow blame him for making you sad. So you're either going to find an excuse, the dishes aren't clean enough, or you're going to misinterpret something that he said. What do you mean I look pretty today? I didn't look pretty yesterday? Like stuff like that. I'm, oh, what the fuck? Shit, you coming up with shit? What are you doing with these trumped up charges, man? And so you kind of, in a way, begin to see problems that are not even there. But the thing is that you feel like those are real problems. But the reason why you feel like they're problems is because you feel that those are problems. That's the ego in you, the past in you. We're living in the moment. So don't believe the story. Just observe the emotion. See, the emotion doesn't want you to focus on it. It wants you to focus on the story. No. Go into that emotion, observe it. And now there's so much attention on the emotion that your thoughts will be there, but you're not focusing on it because you're more focusing on the emotions. But I'm getting ahead of myself right now. Okay, so you won't. So this is the thing, is that when you interact with someone and you see them from a conceptual sense of self, which is the ego, you see them through the eyes of the ego as the provider. You're not really interacting with them. You're just interacting with a mind-made self that you created of them. So you never really have genuine interactions. You see, because you keep reliving your past of abandonment, your past of pain, and you attributing those emotions to them, kind of like a counter-transference. So you never really get to know them. You think there's one way, but in reality, they're not one way. You see, you only notice it once you stop loving them. It happens, right? So falling in love, that's where we're going to transition to. Falling in love is an intensification of the ego. You feel your sense of self enhanced, and even you see, when you see yourself attached to them, you see yourself in your mind enhanced. I mean, think about it. Like when you see them when you see yourself with the person, you see like a glorious picture, right? But when you don't see yourself with them, you see a picture of like, oh, sad and shit, right? So in reality, you don't love them. You just love the way they make you feel. In reality, you're just using them as an object of self-esteem. So in reality, we never really interact with people for who they really are. We only interact with people according to the labels that we have for them. It's kind of like filters, like little filters. Yeah, you look hot, yeah, on Instagram, but that's not how you really look. It's kind of crazy, but like social media does reflect how we see people. We don't see them for who they really are. We just see them for how we want to see them according to the needs that we have. So you feel your sense of self enhanced, so you become addicted to the new self. So you see this new self, wow, this is how she makes me feel, or he makes me feel, and you love that shit. You see, so now anything that this person does is a threat to your sense of self, because if you lose them, you're gonna lose this image that you have in your mind, and you want that. You see, and so that's why the greater the pain, the needer you are, because in reality, the desire for love comes from pain, comes from a feeling of emptiness. You see, so that feeling of emptiness, the more empty you are, the stronger the grasp you can have. It's kind of like your tolerance to food. When the hungrier you are, the better things taste. You know, the hungrier I don't care if I'm hungry, man. I'll eat anything. You see, people so hungry even eat each other. You believe that shit? So the hungrier you are, the more you'll take. The needier you are, the more you're going to love the person despite what they're really showing. It's because you're playing a role. And that's why you're going to feel like the victim, because you're not going inside, so you're looking for things. So you're putting yourself in a position where if the person fails you, you're going to lose out. And that's why you keep losing out, because you keep putting yourself in those positions. It's a form of self-sabotage. So what happens when you hold on to the past? Through identifying with it and holding on to it. For example, you get cheated on, and rather than saying, oh, I just got cheated on, you say, oh, I'm a person who gets cheated on. So now you go into a relationship rather than, oh yeah, somebody cheated on me when I was younger. You go into a relationship with, oh, I'm someone, all men cheat on me. All men are cheaters. Oh my goodness. So you see the difference? It's your identity. So you're going to be looking for that because that's part of your identity. You see? So you can see that it really does mess up your relationships, because people are going to think you're fucking psycho. So anything would trigger it. Any hints of doubt. So it may not even be, for example, if you're walking down the street and you're scared that someone's going to mug you, it doesn't matter if somebody comes up. If you hear like something, you can be like, oh shit, what the fuck is that? Why? Not because it's an actual threat, but because you're looking for a threat. You're alert. And that's a way to survive, but not a way to be happy, because then you're going to be living in fear. And you know what fear does? It empowers your enemy through perceiving your enemy as greater than they are and overestimating your abilities. All right, so can you tell the difference between, okay, so you can play, so this is the thing, the beauty about all of this is that, let's assume that your sense of self is based on 5 things, right? It's based on your looks, 3 things, I don't make it complicated. It's based on your looks, it's based on your the food you cook, and it's based on the cars you drive. And I talked about this in other videos. Okay, so that's where you derive your pride from, you see? So let's say you lose your car. That's like 1/3 of your confidence. Oh, my car. Oh, so now what happens? You hold on to your looks a lot more, and you hold on to the other one, I don't know, like your cooking skills. So you put more work into it because you're trying to overcompensate. What happens next? You lose your ability to cook. Now, oh, my ability to cook. Now you hold on to your fucking looks a lot more, right? So you fucking work on that shit. You go to the gym. Now you lose your looks. What happens next? you have nothing to go to. You see, where are you now? You're still there, but what the fuck are those things you're holding on to? Like, and that's, you say to yourself, I'm a child, then you lose your parents, what are you now? See, that's what I'm talking about, your sense of self. You derive your sense of self based on things, but those things are perishable. You see, so you will either become confused because you don't know who you are anymore. You see, oh, who am I? I lost all of this. Or you're going to be okay with not knowing who you are. How does it feel not knowing who you are and being okay with it? Suddenly people can't offend you, right? Think about that. Let's say you lost all of your ability to remember your past, to create new memories. Okay, so you don't know who you are, you don't know your sense of self, but you can't make memories and you can't retrieve memories. You only hear. Do you have the ability to be unhappy? Do you have the ability to be offended? I don't think so, because you can't go back into the past to think, what is me offending to? For example, if somebody calls me a Spanish hick, like, oh, you a hick. Oh, okay. I don't get offended because I don't hold on to that. It's not part of my identity. You see? I am Hispanic, but I'm not holding on to past pain related to that. You see? So, can you tell so, this is the thing though, is that when you don't hold on to it, when you're not using roles, when you're not identifying with your ego, it's going to change the way you behave with people because of this. You're going to sense a dynamic that's more lighter. You're going to feel more compassion for people. For example, have you seen an athlete and you hated them, right? An athlete or even a celebrity, you hate them, right? But then you see them in person. Suddenly you don't hate them no more. I hate LeBron James, right? I fucking hate LeBron. But as soon as I see LeBron James, I'm like, oh, fuck that shit. Hey, what's up, LeBron? Oh, no, I don't talk shit on you. We're homies, man. Oh, man, I saw your style. Oh, fuck. My bad, LeBron. But seriously, though, the reason why is because the one that I hate is the image of the athlete, the role that he plays. You see? So I hate that. I really fucking hate LeBron. But when I see LeBron, the real person, a human being, I'm like, oh, LeBron? Shit, you're normal. You have a flesh. You see, this is totally different. So you're going to feel differently. Why? Because now your roles have changed. Now he's not an enemy no more, like the other team. Now he's a human being. You see what roles do? Roles create enemies. Roles create an enemy out of somebody who could easily be your friend. You see? But roles also create a friend out of an enemy, and that's why you got to be careful. Not trust your friends. Not some saying not trust it, but know how things work. You see? Don't put your eggs in one basket. So as you can see, roles fuck up your relationship, because if the role of I hate LeBron would have stayed and I saw LeBron James and my identity is of a fan that hates LeBron, you know how those diehard fans, for the most part, if you're a diehard fan, that means you're not identifying with other things. That means you don't have life. I mean, I'm sorry, right? Think about that, right? So when you see LeBron, that also is going to transcend just watching television. You see him in the streets and you fucking hate that guy. Fuck you, LeBron. But do you really hate him, or you just hate the athlete? See, that's what I'm saying, the ego, the conceptual sense of self. You're seeing the world through those perceptions. So in reality, it's not that he gotta fix the way he is, but rather you gotta fix the way you're looking at things, the way you're processing life. You see? And this is, okay, so like I said, there's no authentication in communication. It's all an illusion. We're all interacting with our own heads. It's all in your head, like they always say, right? The more you identify with the roles, the more inauthentic your relationship is going to be. You never really know the person. For example, parents don't really know their kids. Kids don't really know their parents because they're only showing a part of them that's good. And we all see through the bullshit. Like parents play roles, and that's why some parents can't be themselves around kids. Yeah, you got to play the role to keep them safe, but generally speaking, the roles that you play inhibits you from really getting to know each other because there are limits. He knows he can't be around you and be himself, so what happens? You got to play the good son or the good girl. So that tends to happen in relationships. You can't really know your man's real self because he's not going to tell you because he feels that you're going to judge him. You know? Oh, no, I'll never, I'll never go to a prostitute. I'll never do that. A lot of guys do that. I'm not saying that I do that. I'll be scared as shit. No. See, me saying I never do that is like, you guys are like, really? Why you got to defend yourself more? I'm not kidding. Like, Stop it, like that guy. Keep going. Keep talking. But generally speaking, though, like because they have a role that they feel like they have to play, they change themselves to fit that role, so that they don't offend you. You see? So you never really get to know them, and then when you find out the shit that they do, you're like, how dare you be like this? It's because that's who he is. And that's why people can't be themselves around you, or you can't be themselves around people because you feel like you're playing a role. And that's how you lose power in interactions, all right? So how do you do this? So you have to first realize the roles that you're playing. That's the first step, realizing, okay? The goal of pickup, like I teach pickup, and this is my primary tactic to help them become more confident around women, okay? The goal of pickup is to get the guys out of the role and into a new frontier. For example, it's using their higher self to interact with people. The self that's not defensive, the self that is, the self that's not thinking of the past, that's fully present. So, for example, I'm gonna use approaching women as an example to give you guys a good explanation. So I'm seeing a girl, right? And she's like, damn, like the girl's looking fine, right? And in my mind, I'm like, oh, damn, she's fine, man. I hope she likes me. Right? You're like, oh man, she's so good. So you see, in your mind, she has something that you need, right? In your mind, she has something you need. And what are you? The pursuer. You're chasing her. So now what happens when you approach, hey, I saw you and I thought you were cute. Now you're playing into that role, the ego, your insecurity. And what happens? She's going to sense that. And she's going to feel that you're insecure. And so what she's going to do? Oh, I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend, and leave. See, because she feels that you're going to awaken her ego. So as opposed to approaching and not thinking about anything, not thinking about, yeah, I'm the man. Because if you think you're the man, what happens? You approach, yo, girl, I saw you and I thought you were cute. Like, that's not normal. So what happens? Hey, excuse me, I saw you and I thought you were cute and I wanted to say hi. How dare you approach me? No, I just thought you were cute. I don't mean to offend you or nothing like that. Oh, for real? Yeah. What's your name? You see, like, if I was trying to be cool and she would say, how dare you offend me? What would I have said? How dare you offend me? Well, I'm trying to hit on you, girl. I would have not done that. I would have gotten offended but gotten defensive. That's what I would have done. Because I was already trying to get her in the reaction. She acted defensive. And what happens? Because I'm already acting through my ego. Like I'm trying to not to get rejected. It awakened it in me. So because I was relaxed, I wasn't looking for an outcome. She says, oh, how dare you approach me? There was nothing to defend. I'm like, oh, okay. I just thought you were cute. Like, you just ignore it. So you don't feed that reaction. So her defenses relaxes. So for example, you're talking to a guy, you're talking to your guy and whatever, you guys are having an argument, right? What's an argument? Who's right? That's what the argument is all about. You're wrong because you said that. What happens? You feel that defensiveness. And what's your position? I'm right. Role playing. So it doesn't matter how wrong you are, because you're playing that role, you're not going to give it up. So what do? You feel that defensiveness? You're like, okay, I'm observing myself being defensive. Drop it. Observe it. So now you're able to conversate, but with the facts. And he'll try to like get you to get defensive. You're always wrong. You're always wrong. And you're like, oh yeah, you know what? Sometimes I am actually. What the fuck? What? You say you are? Like, holy shit, what? You know? And so what's gonna happen is that their defenses are gonna lower. You first gotta be undefensive in order to get the person to be undefensive too. And they're gonna try to hurt you and get you to react. So you could play the role of the defender and you gotta counter, but now you're not. You're just passively letting themselves do whatever you want. Because there's nothing to protect. There's no sense of self. You're not playing a game. You're just being yourself. You see? And that's how your relationships improve. I'm telling you, like when I walk around in the streets a lot, people are very friendly to me. A lot of people are friendly to me. People are surprised to see how the world reacts with me. Not because I'm special, but because I practice this so often that it really looks like fucking magic. Like getting people to open up, getting people to do you a lot of favors. Like it really does look like magic. Like I walk around the streets and people make a lot of eye contact with me. I could just randomly almost get someone to give me a high five and start a conversation. Like it's crazy. Like it feels like you're in a different world. Somebody acts like a dick to you and you just shove it off. Like you don't say, oh, he's a dick. You just say, oh, he's acting like a dick. Oh, I bet he's a nice person. And you just keep walking. You see? And what's going to happen is that they're going to try to get you to react. You know, they're going to try to get you to react. They're going to try to get you to react. But what you do then is to just observe yourself wanting to react. And now they're not going to get a reaction. So now they're either going to stay away from you because they know that you don't get a reaction. It's kind of like a troll. If a troll on the internet knows that you don't respond, he's going to go somewhere else. So he's either going to go somewhere else, break up with you, because sometimes people like that cannot be with good people. He's either going to stop or he's going to relax and improve. For example, when you're arguing with someone and you know that they're not that they're not biased, you know, because you know that they're not biased, you're more willing to admit that you're wrong. And the only reason why is because they're not playing the roles. So when you first take the first step through letting go of the roles and allowing them to be how they are, and you not being defensive, letting anything that comes to you hit you, and you just relax and observe it, they're gonna feel that and they're going to put their guard down. I'm telling you, like it's how it works. You want to bring your egoless self to every interaction, because it's your ego that causes a lot of the problems. It's your ego. It's nothing more but your ego. You see, you get offended because that's part of your sense of self. Somebody called you like let's say you're overweight and they called you fat. You get offended. Why? Because you see yourself as a fat person, right? You don't want to be fat. And so they're hurting at insecurity. That's something that you try to suppress. Something that, because it hurts, you don't want to think about. You don't want to accept. You wish you were different. But in this case, you're observing yourself for what it is now, right? Yeah, you have your thoughts, okay? But remember, if you didn't have a past or a future, you can't create memories or think of new or record new memories, and you're always in the present moment, being fat wouldn't be an issue. The only issue is the story that your mind creates. And even though your mind creates a story, in order for it to identify with you, you have to hear it and like, oh, yes, you're right. But now I don't want you to do it. I want you to just observe those thoughts, almost as though you're listening to the radio, like listening to the radio, like just listening, you see, and just notice the thoughts. But more importantly, don't focus on the thoughts, focus on the emotions that arises from those thoughts. I mean, the thoughts the thoughts that creates the emotion, because the more you focus on the thoughts, the more the emotions are going to get stronger, and the more thoughts it's going to create. It has momentum. You see, it has momentum. You start thinking a thought, I suck. Suddenly you feel sucky. You're going to get more thoughts, and more thoughts. It feeds itself. So in order for you to get over that is to become more present. That's why I always come back to, right? Being present. And look, this is something that I also struggle to apply. Not that I'm perfect, but I apply it, but not as often as I should. I apply this more when I'm actually actively gaming, actively approaching, actively like doing it as a full-time picking up girls. That's when I'm fucking laser focused. You could call me, oh, you're only doing presents because you want to get girls. Yeah, but hey, look, that's a good way to be happy, right? I'm using women, I'm using my desire to get girls as a vehicle to be happy. Because it's better than fucking being a dickhead, right? I mean, if finding out about mindfulness and presence, if finding out about that is how you get girls, oh fuck that shit. I'm teaching that to everyone. Like, why not? I mean, that's like one of the best things you can ever have. So, and again, remember what I told you, challenges help you grow. So this challenge, getting girls, I used it to actually find myself. Isn't that crazy? Not because I found myself in women, but because I found myself when I couldn't find myself, through not finding myself. I can't find myself. Who am I then? I'm nothing. And you just accept it. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. It's something that, again, I struggle with it at times, but I'm not gonna teach you that just because I'm still working on it, right? That'll be fucked up, right? Anyways, it's addicts for mindful attraction.org. If you need coaching, let me know. Let me see what else. I'm gonna post my links to social media because, again, people can't find me. I don't know why, so I'm gonna post it in the link below. And bye-bye. Oh, come on, man.